I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I kind of lost track myself. But being this is a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and will blow your head clean off, you gotta ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? Hello everybody, Leepinlepin here. How are you guys today? And yes, that was a quote from Dirty Harry from 1971 featuring the Smith & Wesson Model 29 44 Magnum. Now this here is not a Model 29. This is in fact a Model 629 Classic. More of a, maybe a sporterized type of, or maybe more for sporting. Because you see here we have a muzzle port. Now, before I get into fully revealing this gun, I would like to get into the history of the 44 Magnum. Let me tell you something. It is quite a history. Quite a history. Elmer Keith. This man was known for wearing big Stetson hats, smoking big cigars, and hunting big game with handguns long before anyone else did. Now, back in his day, rounds were either big and slow, like counting votes in Arizona, or small and going fast as newlyweds to doing the dirty after their shotgun wedding. There was no alternatives. Well, that is until old Elmer decided that there were going to be an alternative. Now, old Elmer was perhaps most associated with the caliber of gun you see here. The big-ass twister-nose hair 44 Magnum, which he could pop a mule deer at 600 yards. Now, that's 548 meters for those in backwards land. But he also developed the 357 Magnum. Nice round, by the way. Now, Elmer was always looking for ways to make big rounds bigger. In fact, he was very vocal about his distaste for smaller rounds, and would even express it to fellers such as Jack O'Connor, who simped for the 270 Winchester, which today is more popular than that one singer, who was it, Billie Eilish? Or Eli Ash? Hell, who knows. In the year our Lord, 1911, Elmer was burned very badly in a fire in Missoula, Montana. Interesting name. These were scars that he wore for the rest of his life. Now, that fire would likely have just killed about any other man, but being the absolute Chad Elmer was, he refused to roll over and die. In fact, his burns were so bad that his chin became fused with his right shoulder, and his left hand was turned completely upside down. His father contacted several doctors in the area to perform a surgery to fix his hand, but they all refused, saying that, he probably won't even live to see 21 anyway. Doctors. The experts on not being experts on being experts of their trade. Now, because of this, old Elmer wanted his father to break his hand and reset it. The man just wanted his father to say, "Okay, son, we're going to break your hand." After a trip down to the local liquor store to get a bottle of 100 proof Old Granddad, Elmer told his father to break and set his hand no matter how much he passed out or screamed. What an absolute mad lad, guys. Seriously, I mean, mad respect, seriously. Wow. Elmer was then fitted with a special glove, and over the course of 2 years, regained the normal use of his hand through a lot of painful use, also known as use it or lose it. The hand was deformed, but Keith, he could use it to both rope steer and shoot pistols. Now that is alpha as alpha can be. Let me tell you what. Because he had the drive of a banshee, he became the most famous rider of all time. he became one of the most famous gun writers of all time, and regularly responded to his own correspondence without the help of a secretary. Cutting out the middleman. I like it. He received, on average, between 300 and 500 letters every month. Now, you see, this is notoriety. Not like today, where young people are getting famous for making stupid faces on TikTok. Now, Elmer was not the tinkerer that many wildcatters are. Now, for those who don't know what wildcatters are, these are people, mostly men, who, with redneck science, make some of the wildest rounds to exist. For example, the 1750. It's a .177 caliber bullet shoved into the neck down of a 50 BMG case. Yeah. It's real, but so far no rifle has been developed for it. Well, yet. Give 3D printers some time, I bet they could make it. Anyway, Elmer was a simple man, kind of like me. When he found something that he liked, he stuck with it. However, the thing that he wanted didn't exist. He figured out a way to make it, and that's how he arrived at the .44 Magnum. Quick detour. These are by Bear Creek Ballistics. They are 225 grain HV ammunition plus P, .44 Magnum for a single shot rifle. God bless the USA. In the year that a particularly angry saw mustache. Let me try this again for you guys. In the year that a particularly angry small mustache man decided that war was too tough and offed himself, in 1945 by the way, Elmer exploded a .45 Colt single-action army. I have owned a single-action army. They are hard to blow up. For those who don't know, that's the same gun that, of course, Alec Baldwin, the cuck of gun controllers, killed Hanya Hutchins with. Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Elmer then switched over to the .44 Special. Up until that point, he had never ever seen a .44 Special, but once he got his hands on one, the world of firearms was about to change forever. He then created the Keith bullet, which has become somewhat generalized today, but had very specific specifications when Keith first designed it. Thousands of six-gunners today still make Keith bullets to his original instructions. Hey, if any of you guys do that, comment. Before the advent of the .44 Magnum, old Elmer spent years custom loading his .44 Specials to make them more like the .44 Magnum that we have now. However, Elmer still wanted something better, and so he approached Smith & Wesson, who then collaborated with Remington to give birth to what would become one of the most iconic rounds in American firearms history. Remington, who was in charge of the ammo, and Smith & Wesson, who was in charge of the weapon, which was the Model 29. Once again, this is the 629 Classic. This is not the original Model 29. In fact, this is the 629-5. My father actually bought this gun because of the very same reason the .44 Magnum became famous. Clint Eastwood and Dirty Harry. And if you haven't seen that movie, I highly recommend you should. Truth be told, I'm saving up to buy my own Model 29 for myself for the same reason that my dad did, because of Dirty Harry. Such a good movie. Now, if Dirty Harry was filmed today, I'm willing to bet that the .500 Magnum would be used instead, because it's, as Clint said, the most powerful handgun in the world, and it would blow your head clean off. Yeah. The .44 Magnum. I have personally shot this gun several times. Let me move you guys a little bit closer here. And let me tell you something. It's no slouch. Now, my father reloads his own ammunition. He's slightly bit of a wildcatter himself. But I have fired as many times with regular ammo that you buy off the shelf and his reloaded ones. Take a guess which one's a little bit more powerful. Yeah, his reloaded ones. He likes them a little bit spicy. With that said, the weight of this gun, I want to say it's almost 64 ounces. In fact, let me check. Nope, I was wrong. I was thinking of a 500. This is actually 48.3 ounces. Extremely heavy. This can take the 44 Special as well. Now, this is single action, double action. A single action trigger basically has a shorter, lighter trigger pull. This is a double action, single action revolver. It uses a long pull of the trigger to cock the hammer, rotate the cylinder, and fire the piece. Repeated shots may be fired repeatedly without pulling the trigger. I think they meant the hammer. Until all rounds have been fired. Many double action revolvers, like this one, may be thumb cocked and fired in single action mode. Same thing. Anyway, not same thing, but I went through single action, double action in the past. So there. This particular firearm, my father bought back in the early 2000s. And let me tell you, it weighs all 48 ounces. This here does have a nickel finish on it. It's been scratched, of course, because, well, my father uses it a lot. In fact, when he's out with his cattle, he'll keep one of these. He's got two of them. He'll keep one of these on him just in case a cow needs to be put down. So, or either this or a 22 long rifle. Take a look at the sights, huh? There's your back sight. Hopefully we can focus on the front sight again. And kind of. Maybe. Anyway, there's your sight picture. There's your front sight. And your back sight. That focused perfectly. Right in sync. That's awesome. Once again, it is 6 rounds. Shown here, of course, extractor, which I oiled up nicely. Of course, once again, if you're going to load these, make sure to point down to load, tip up, slap to unload. The kick on this is decent. It needs to weigh 48 ounces, and every bit of it. I just, once again, it's unloaded. Now this trigger weight on single action is like a feather. Watch the thumb. I barely moved and it went. Double action, maybe 10-pound pull. But single action, once again, watch the thumb. I barely moved it. I think my father had it made like that, maybe. Here's a Smith & Wesson logo. It is starting to be wore down. Turn off the light, maybe you can see it better. Yeah, a little bit, yep. Starting to lose its form a little bit. Made in USA. No. Marcus Restrictions, Smith & Wesson, Springfield, Massachusetts. Man, oh man. I love my wheel guns. I love them, I love them, I love them. I bet I'll never be able to balance like that again. I'm going to make a bet. Oh. It's not going to balance. So we'll just hold it with one hand as I do the outro. This has been Leepinlepin. Oh, hang on before I go. Also, these sides can be adjusted. Well, the front one can't. But it can be pinned out and put up something different on there if you wanted to. And I have seen some with Picatinny rails with scopes on them. But this one is not so much set up for that. Ooh, there we go. But anyway, this has been Leepinlepin. Please comment, like, and subscribe. And of course, if you do subscribe, make sure to ring that little bell to get notifications for whenever I upload a new video. Leepinlepin, I'm out of here, folks. I'll see you all in the next video.